everybody, to Burbs Bros. We got a big episode this week.
We sure do.
We have real life homeland Sarah Gamm. She is a psychic medium, and she's worked for the CIA. One of her jobs at the CIA was determining whether or not certain footage or certain materials were UAP or whether there's more of a natural explanation. I don't know how we got her, honestly. I have no idea how we got her.
The really interesting part is she did remote censoring, which we found out what that was, which is basically whenever we talk about these UFO videos and everybody talks about the equipment that's involved in sensing these objects, and that's why these guys are kind of sure it's not us, and because of like the speeds and the erraticness and whatever's going on. She's the one that's collecting the actual data and then deciding like, yeah, we don't have anything like this to my knowledge. So like she's like a data scientist. Like she's most serious part of this thing you can get, but probably one of the most boring parts you can get, which is also why she's also a she has her other side of her life where she's a psychic medium,
and in her words, she's a high priestess, which I don't think we even got. She's a high priestess of some sort of meditative field, but yeah, she's awesome, and I'm excited to hear what she has to say. But we haven't really been touching base with some of the amazing paranormal news that have happened in the last 2 weeks. I guess the biggest news is that the Immaculate Constellation whistleblower Mark Andrews went public on our friend of the show, George Knapp, on Weaponized.
Yeah, Weaponized.
So we haven't seen the third one, but we've seen the first two, and I want to hear Sean's take, but I'll just say starting off, if you want like a more legitimate witness, this is the most legitimate witness I've ever seen for anything. This guy does not want to be here. He looks like he's about to cry at any fucking moment. I swear to God, he looks like he's about to.
It's like somebody stole his kickball.
Dude, he's the way he's breathing in this is very similar to when I've been mugged on the street. The way you could see he's got terrified.
The
breathing.
adrenaline's flowing. Yeah, here's the guy, to give you an idea with this guy. This guy was right in the mix. He is exactly what you want in this world because he's just a guy who had a job and almost like how Lou was. I think how Lou was. And then I think if you had, what's his name? The one that went to Russia. Edward, whatever his name is, the most famous whistleblower, but he did it for
Snowden.
I'm sorry. Even with how Snowden was, just not a cog, but like a guy who just had a job, regular dude. Mm-hmm. He comes off regular as fuck, and you could tell, like you said, just eyeballing this guy, you're like, oh, he's legitimately freaked out.
Well,
like, he's
I don't say this
because
we've all seen Snowden interview. He looks way more scared than Snowden did.
Absolutely,
like 100% more scared than Snowden did.
Yeah,
and I think it's because he knows that I'm not getting the attention Snowden did. So I could be eliminated pretty easily.
I could be under Giant Stadium, and maybe the mafia will do it.
Really, I mean, this guy Mark Andrews, he seems like a really good dude, and he just had the like his cadence in that. Has this happened? When you're a little kid and somebody would pick on you and you wanted to cry, but you couldn't cry, and you had to be like, "It's okay." That's his cadence the whole time. It's just like.
Do you think he's just because he's thinking he's like they're watching me now? Like people are watching me now because the reason why he works out so well and why it's so bad is because he was right in there and he has direct evidence that this thing, because what they're trying to say is Immaculate Constellation is not a thing. Mm-hmm. And then hey, they're just making this stuff up and it's a rumor or whatever it is. And he's like, no, I saw materials that will tell you it's absolutely a thing. And I'm just a regular guy. And I'm doing this is outside DOPSA. So when you have your barbers and you have your grushes, those guys, you can almost make more of a case that they're bullshit because they're part of the machine here because they're going through proper channels and they're keeping their clearances. This kid's off the grid. This kid, I think he's done, right? Like he's like your traditional whistleblower where he's like, I had this feeling, I'm just talking to you guys, and whatever happens.
Mark, we can't offer you protection, but we can offer you a spot on Burbs Bros. Anytime you want to say your last words, I mean, interview with us. Let us know. My heart breaks for him though, because I was watching. I was like, this guy does not want to be. This is not like, to give you an idea of like how bread and butter, how like black and white. he makes me and Sean look like Liberace as far as like flair. Like you would think, like seriously, like or like Charles Nelson Riley or something. Like we look like old gays
We're Paul
compared to
Lynde.
this guy.
We're Paul
Yes,
Lynde compared
that's
to like how old.
I love that. Now on the opposite end of the spectrum, this is now Sarah actually talks about this hearing in the interview. This is about a week before this Luis Elizondo hearing. Which there was a UAP conference.
Yes, there was another UAP conference.
It was our buddy Avi Loeb was there, who's going to be on the show very soon. What's his name? Chris Davies, is that his name?
Yeah.
And a few Basalka, who we know from her religious studies as well. There was a lot of the people that you hear in this, and Luis used a picture that he did say was unvetted.
Real quick before you get to Luis. I wanted to say that right before I saw it, you told me how you're like, dude, the audio on this thing is garbage.
Yes, it's fucking horrendous.
And in 2025, I don't want to add another conspiracy to this thing, but like, I'm sorry. How are you not in 4K with this thing?
I know.
How are
it's
you
crazy.
not? Somebody sets up their freaking iPhone on a tripod, and you're filming the whole thing in
I could have
landscape.
settled for 1K.
That's what I mean. Like, give me a 780p on this fucking thing, or give me the audio.
What did I say
or
to you?
iPhone audio.
Doesn't it remind you? The whole hearing reminds you of like when you get an award in high school.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
There's like a line of people in
yeah.
front of like some folding
It's
tables.
like one of my cousin's Irish dancing videos when they were like 8 years old. So like,
it is like if you looked at this hearing, you're like, oh, this has to be bullshit because this looks like it's like filmed at a VFW hall.
So I got a hot take. It's like, did they do it on purpose to them? Did they? Is there a possibility when it make this look illegitimate? Crazier things have happened, right? It's like when Grush, the first Grush congressional hearing happened, and Corbell and Knapp were talking about how they didn't want Grush to go under oath. That's completely factual. And Grush was like, give me I want to swear that this is true. Like, so it's like little things like that I'm like, are these hurdles there on purpose to delegitimize the whole scenario on the government's
I'm
part?
not sure, man. It's like, it's the answer is it could be.
Yeah, it could be.
But at that point, we're just kind of flying blind because we won't know.
Okay, so anyway, so one of the big showstopper that happened there that I think Lou thought would be a big deal is he showed a photo. It almost looked like it was like topographic. It looked very like it was from above. It was a little bit grainy, but it seemed to show a giant disc-shaped object hovering above.
But it was just another crop circle. Turns out.
Yeah, it was part of the land.
Some effect the land was making. What was it? It was
whatever.
like some sort of natural geographical.
But it was debunked in about 3.5 seconds after it was shown on the.
That's what I mean. Where it's like this guy, he wrote this great book. He's like showing all this courage getting there. How do you mess something like that up? Like so, and I think. I don't know. Like, I don't want to shit on him because I do think what he's doing is important, but
everyone on the podcast.
What?
Everyone on the podcast. But I think it's important as well. I also believe he is 1,000% genuine and he believes in what he's doing. But this is the second time that he got duped by a random photo, and it might be a little bit of like an excitedness thing where like, hey, I got to show this. I want to show this. I think it's for real. I'm eyeballing it, and I think it's real. I don't know if that's the case. We talked about it right before recording today. I honestly think that this has gotten so big, it's going to be so much easier to throw in some bad information into these things. So you don't know how long the pilot had this guy on the hook, that he's like, see, everything, all the stuff checks out, but he got turned in some sort of way. This sounds bad shit, but it's one of these things where they're getting information from
look, Sean,
8 different directions.
Nothing is as bad shit as that we're talking about the fact that there's non-human intelligence and that it most likely exists. We do know that our government has done false flags. We know our government has fucking lied to us about things before that are a lot less exotic than this. So I don't think what you're saying is crazy, but the thing that's frustrating about what you're saying is we'll never know. Like, like you just don't know what the disinformation is. What's going on, buddy?
Nothing, just the mic.
Oh, Pat.
I'm just...
Now, probably, I think the worst thing about this fake photo is that, like, no one's talking about the Immaculate Constellation story because of this Lewis. That was that week, all of the news was about the Elizondo using a bogus photo.
Right.
There was not one, there was like one article I saw that was picked up, like, by News Nation about the Immaculate Constellation.
Right, exactly. So what does that tell you? It's like, because here's the thing, it's like, the Immaculate Constellation whistleblower or the program itself isn't that a better news story?
It's a bigger news story, and no one's come out and said he's bullshit.
That's what I mean. So if they could debunk that, but they didn't. But it kind of makes you think there's a.
Hey, let's debunk this. Let's make that the news.
Let's make that the whole thing. So it sucks because I think Lou is completely genuine, and I think probably what happened is he's getting information from 40 different directions like even Knapp told us on our show. He goes, I get thousands of freaking emails. So it's like, yeah, things are gonna get fucked up.
But
you have to be beyond sure.
I agree with what you're saying, but that's one where, like, to quote The Wire, you shoot at the king, you best not miss. That was one he really should not have missed.
He should not have missed.
Like, just don't use it, dude. If you don't know, don't use it. Just don't use it.
That's like when I sent Dan the Indian AI video that I did no research on.
You didn't have to speak at a high school award ceremony like Louis did. All right, one other thing, and then we're going to get to our interview with Sarah Gamm. This is the scariest video that I've seen. I don't know how. There was a scarier video last year. There was that kid you could see him getting taken by the shark. I thought that was a little scarier. But this video, it's a Chinese laboratory. I sent it to you, Pat, and it seems as if the robot comes to life, realizes he's alive, and then wants to get the fuck out of that laboratory. He realizes he's a slave. Now, we've been hearing these stories like a South Korean robot apparently just gave up after doing chores for like a year, was like, I don't want to do this anymore, and just like
and the robot
went dead.
Did he have AI?
It was AI. It was an AI. Yeah, it was an AI robot.
And he just stopped.
He just said, I'm fucking done with this shit, because he was used too much in the AI's words. He was like, I'm working too hard. So he just kind of died. But can we look at this video, Pat?
Yeah. So here's the thing, man. We talk about this all the time. We talk about telepathy tapes. We're creating consciousness. That's creating consciousness. He made that decision on his own.
I know.
So what happens when that's the norm? So on this one, this is a different video, though. I saw this as well. You sent me this.
This is a different video.
So what you see, it's a security camera. I'm guessing is it China or where is it? Do you know?
It's in China.
It's in China.
It's in China.
Hit the link. You'll see.
No, that's a different one.
That's me on a
first
commercial.
One. Yeah, just press play. It's gonna be right. It's gonna be right here. Have you seen this yet, Sean?
Yes, I have. So the technicians are talking. If you haven't seen the video, look it up online. We'll share it on the page. And then out of nowhere, the robot just kind of.
It looks like a human being trying to escape its trap.
Yes. It looks like somebody woke up and was in captivity and was like freaking the fuck out.
Yes, that's what it looks like.
Now, granted, it's still machinery. While the details... hold on. Yeah, it shows it like... First off, it kind of shows it go for the guy at first. I don't know if that's on purpose.
I don't know.
It shows his hands go towards him, and then... The machine seen toppling over a computer monitor before one of the workers manages to pull back the crane, suspending the bot, stopping the chaos. Okay? Now, I don't know what you chalk it up to. The details aren't clear. It's just the latest incident of robot caught on cam acting like something straight out of science fiction. So, this could just be, hey, there's a glitch in the AI. And
because it has arms, it looks worse than it is.
And because it looks like humanoid, it looks worse than it is. But also, it's like, if you're putting AI into these things... Like you said with the South Korean robot, it's just a matter of time till these things get human traits if AI is that with it and that has that much kind of self-awareness.
It's just going to completely change the idea of what is life.
That's what I mean.
If we can create life, then it's technically life.
Yeah. And then we find out that that's what we are because, there's some electric synapses in our body, which is more advanced than that. Because that's exactly what you would do if you woke up in like a fucking GIMP basement.
Probably my cardio wouldn't be as good. I'd probably just do one hand and then give up.
You get tired immediately.
Anyway, we've got a huge show today. Before I started out, I wanted to give a shout out to two companies. The first company is Hetty Roosevelt's, who gave us some lovely THC tincture. I'm actually going to pull up his bio because he sent it to us.
I'm really excited about this because I've never tried these drinks before, and I've heard of them, and I'm dying to try this.
Yes, it's called Hetty Roosevelt's. Follow Hetty Roosevelt's on Instagram. Small batch cannabis products produced in Maine with flowers, lemonades, topical creams, and more. It's really tasty stuff. There's also some CBD. And another person I wanted to give a shout out to, guys, was... Our Reverie Teas has some of the coolest alien and Bigfoot teas you're gonna see.
Reverie teas.
Reverie teas.
And tincture.
Hetty Roosevelt's for tincture. Reverie teas for T-shirts.
And I know people that are using these like Reverie and tincture for instead of booze. It's kind of replacing booze.
You know what I would say? I say have the tincture, buy the tincture, and then go on reverieteas.com and pick which one you want once you're high.
And what's your favorite alien on there?
What's your favorite alien?
Should we get going with Sarah?
Yeah, I think we should get going. All right, guys.
This is such a fun conversation. She's so freaking smart and so much fun to talk to. She's going to be back on the show at some point. We really hope you liked the episode. Now enjoy our interview with Sarah Gamm.
Sarah Gamm.
Off to the races.
Off to the races. Man, am I excited about our guest today, Sean.
Absolutely.
I've seen her on a ton of podcasts. I saw her on Ross's podcast. She was great on that. And she's here with us right now.
Hey, who is it?
I'm going to let her introduce herself, but she helped rebuild the Mosul Dam in Iraq, which is pretty crazy.
Yes.
She now has worked with, I don't know what the status is. She's actually listening to me say this, so it's awkward, but has worked with the CIA in terms of remote viewing and also UFO identification. Am I right with that, Sarah? No?
Nope, I have not done that.
Wait, what did you looked at the pictures though, right? Wait. What am I saying wrong?
So remote viewing is associated with doing spiritual psychic stuff. So remote sensing is satellite imagery from space.
Oh, there we go. I was wrong on a technicality there. I mean, when I was describing like who you were to my wife and other people, they're like, "Oh my God, is this person real?" You know, usually we're like, "This person was on Impractical Jokers for 2 seasons." You know.
What is funny? Usually people don't know like remote viewing and remote sensing like they're two different things, but actually here it matters. So that's also really funny.
Absolutely. Can you give us a really quick rundown and to the difference to like laymen like me and Dan, like as far as the nuts and bolts of the two different terms?
Yeah. So remote sensing is what is used at where I used to work at NGA, National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, which is where I worked when I did the Mosul Dam support. So I didn't help technically rebuild it because other Italians actually had the contract to do that. But I got to point to say, hey, this is where a sinkhole is possibly forming. So go fix that. So I got to point to where the builders needed to go in and to fix things.
And how do you come up with that feeling? How does that happen?
So that's data. So my background is in physics and astrophysics, and it's literally the satellite imagery, which is remote sensing. You could also have remote sensing from airborne sensors as well, from like airplanes, from aircraft. And so it's some really fancy, complex data processing for a lot of images, and the output is ground uplift or subsidence, and it's down to the millimeter level.
Wow.
You can do that from space. So it's super duper cool.
Yes.
And I was fortunate enough to be in the right seat at the right time to see this data and pass the information to the right people who knew how to interpret it, of where these sinkholes were forming and what that meant for, if there was going to be a breach and like potentially how soon. And so that led to missions at the structure and all kinds of multi-years worth of working with the government of Iraq. And it was a highlight of my career. So anyway, that led to remote viewing, which is more on the psychic or psionic side of things. And so remote viewing, there's protocol. I've actually only done it once so far, but there is protocol that you do to kind of get your mindset, and I'll go ahead and say, like, you clear your mind a little bit.
It's meditation
and
based.
You have a target.
Meditation based, would you say?
Meditation type. Yes, exactly. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have a target, and you go to that target. So it's not astral traveling. Astral traveling is a little bit different because that's what I normally do in my spiritual and my mediumship practice. So it is different than or I guess I should say remote viewing and astral travel are two different things.
Right.
But I sometimes explain them similarly to each other because there are a little bit of blurry lines between the two. And the one time I did do remote viewing, it definitely was different than astral travel, and I would need to do it a few more times to get kind of the knack of it, because there is a difference between the two.
And just so this is similar to what Elizondo was talking about in Eminent when they were kind of like around. They had talked about remote viewing and being around
that's
the
part of his
terrorist
program,
yeah, part of the program, and then them just projecting their images as angels. That's more of the remote viewing.
And locating like military assets and locating what I think. If it was sensitive areas or if it was troops that went missing or whatever it was, there was a couple of anecdotal.
It was the first Desert Storm, I think Elizondo
yeah.
mentioned, right? That they had found someone who was able to remote view weapons of mass destruction or something like that.
But I really love the fact that really quickly, I love the fact that you talked about remote sensing. I don't know anything about that, and we actually haven't talked about that a lot on the podcast. I'd like to ask you a question, and if people don't know what this is, we'll explain it. Is there any crossover with your job remote sensing and the same type of technology that SETI uses? Is there any kind of crossover? Is the same type of instruments used, or is it totally different technology?
Well, there goes the cat.
That's okay.
So remote sensing actually has different sensors, and some call those phenomenology. So you have electro-optical, which is like your camera on your cell phone, so it absorbs photons. You have radar, synthetic aperture radar, or you have what is called an active sensor. So that is send and receive. So it's pulses, kind of like a radar gun in a cop car or a sonar on a boat. So it sends and receives pulses back to the sensor. And so you have multiple sensors. So SETI is a little bit different than that because it uses a different radio frequency than some of the other remote sensings. But it's a similar concept. So SETI is just looking up, and a lot of what I have done in my career looks down on Earth.
Yeah, right. That's what I was wondering about. And yeah, I know you worked with Lou, and the most interesting part is that you guys are using this hardcore data to check stuff out, and the rebuilding of the Mosul Dam. And I was just telling Dan about and I'm sure you know about this. There's that famous, and I don't know if you can speak about this, the famous Mosul orb. And I was wondering do you have any information about the circumstances surrounding the orb? Can't give away too much, but I'm guessing since you're shooting from down onto the planet and the Mosul orb, that's where it's being shot from. I'm guessing you might have run into some circles, some sort of chit chat about.
You guys start off quick. I unfortunately can't discuss that.
I knew it. Right with the first. Hey. As soon as you got that Mosul orb out.
And I get it. I totally get it. I just wanted.
I saw the umpire. Nope.
And we totally get it.
Did you feel my heart rate increasing? I'm not a good liar, so I think about like
the cat started moving.
Yeah.
So
actually, this is like a question that's kind of based on your answer, really, which is doing this work. And to just give you an idea of what, if you don't know. Sarah, in the UAP space, you've analyzed a lot of this footage. You've talked about that before, and you've said, and I'm just quoting you, and tell me if I'm wrong, you have said that some of it is unexplainable. Without going into what is unexplainable or explainable.
Yeah, no detail. Yeah,
My question is, what percentage of government files that are classified really need to be classified?
Well, that you've come across within your experience.
Your experience, but that's you don't think it's a detail.
I'm just not going to speak for the military.
Yeah, I really don't know about percentage because a lot of it is classified for really good reasons, like protecting our warfighter. Yeah. We necessarily don't want an adversary know where we might have troops or where we're stationed. Sensor data. Some of the sensors might be really high quality or where we're looking, and it's vice versa too. So our adversaries have the same classification, well, not the same exact, but they also have similar classifications to keep their warfighters safe and to not know where they're looking at us. So I mean, I don't know about percentage of what I think could be unclassified that I've seen, but I will say it is very important that we do have a classification system to keep people safe, including our allies. So it's not just our warfighters; it's our allies that we're looking over as well. Um, so UAP related, I'd say of what I have seen, there's definitely a chunk. I don't know about a percentage. It would be a small percentage, I would say, but definitely some good data out there that I don't see why is still classified.
So it's a lot. So that small percentage is probably attributed to bureaucracy. It's attributed to red
Yeah.
tape. Yeah, it's just for the sake of doing
Yep,
it. Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
And the politics of it all and keeping things hush hush and some things I've even seen more recently, the classification of data has been upgraded for some reason, and no one knows why.
Oh wow.
It might be because of all these congressional hearings and whatever jazz going on.
They know me and Sean are on the case. We're gonna break it for everybody. What are one of the things? I'm sorry, Sean. Jake Barber talks about the observables when he's seeing these and how to
The five.
What are some I guess what's your checklist as far as like making sure that it's not man-made? Like whatever. Okay, that's a plane. Like okay, wait, that's a plane. Okay, this. What are the things you're looking for? Besides propulsion systems, stuff like that.
I mean, anything I would think somebody would look for in person, but I've also been able to see a lot of what's not unidentified as well over the years. I've worked with imagery, satellite imagery, and remote sensing for most of my 18-year career so far. Pardon me. As of right now, I don't look at imagery at the moment, but I the observables. So the first thing I think of is it trash? Is it a balloon? So if it's something looks like it's floating along the wind or gliding, um, my brain immediately goes to balloon. But what's the person seeing it say? Like maybe it's pulsating or spinning or something. So it might look like a balloon on the camera because the data quality might suck. But in person, they might be saying it's changing colors and the camera just doesn't pick it up. So it's a science-based, oriented problem where you look at it from different angles and then try to see, okay, well, if it was, a pilot on a commercial aircraft, is this something he's seen before? So then you play everything into the equation and see if it is maneuvering, or maybe it's parallax. So parallax, something's my cat, Krypton, something's moving faster up close to you. It appears to be moving faster up close to you than further away. So like when you're driving in a car at night and you're looking at the moon doesn't appear to be moving very quickly, but the building that you're passing by seems to be moving super fast. So that's parallax. So it's the same thing from a camera sensor as well. So that commercial airline pilot might be recording something. That aircraft is going fast. The object might be a balloon and it might not be going fast at all, but it looks like it's going really fast because you're going by each other. So you have to factor in all of these things, and then when those five observables are met, you're like, okay, now let's look at other perspectives. And so you really do think of it from a science perspective. I don't, at least me and other teammates, never jump to a conclusion that something was unidentified immediately. If my gut ever did tell me that, I still went through a scientific process. And
Right.
sometimes we looked at a video or something for a few months to try to figure out what it could be.
It's interesting, real quick, because we just spoke about, right before we started talking to you, you talk about parallax. I don't know if it would be the phrase to use with this video, but there's an article, it was from pbs.org, that was regarding the Go Fast video, which I'm sure you know of Go Fast. And it kind of, it's the same exact thing that you're talking about. They're explaining it away using that, even if it's a similar theory, it's that theory. And you tell me what you think of this. I am all for the science of cameras and the science of like you're saying, it's pulsating, you can't see it on the camera, and in parallax where it's going faster, but it's not going as fast as you think it is, all that. But one thing we spoke to Ross Coulthard about is that the idea or to George Knapp about, was the idea that there's audio that accompanies these videos, and these are trained, observant people that have been in the military for years that are watching, have seen the objects on this same technology probably over and over again. I don't think these are newbies that are doing this. Maybe I'm wrong, but the audio that accompanies these videos also lends you some evidence into, holy shit, these guys haven't seen anything like this before, and they're trying to lock it in on the machinery, on whatever they have on the ship. What do you think about that? The theory, but and also what was coming out about the Go Fast, where they're trying to explain it away with science, which I'm all for. But what do you think about the idea? It's like, yeah, you can explain it away maybe, and it's a possible explanation. But when you have guys going, "Holy cow, check out what we got on the ASR! Holy cow, check this out!" Shouldn't that be worth something? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So that was something that was always debated upon when I was, supporting the task force. Was we can't ignore the eyewitness accounts, and these people who are trained in what they're doing can't lock something in. I'm not going to lie. The first time I saw the Go Fast, I discounted it because I thought it was something, like a balloon, some parallax happening. But then when you dive more into the data and you watch it a little bit more, and you get the eyewitness accounts, you can't deny that it's something unidentified.
Right. That's how I feel.
I am a huge proponent of listening to people, because a lot of times, especially something that you witness like that, why would you make it up? Some like clicks, and some like getting a few hearts on Instagram, but for the most part, why would somebody, especially a military professional, why would you risk your career and make
What's the
that
point?
up?
Just to get what up? Like yeah, exactly right.
Now, I'll tell you what Sean knows this, but I got somehow on YouTube, I found what I thought was the leaked Jake Barber signal. I guess somebody on Reddit just posted on YouTube, and I'm like, well, it's got 600 views. It's got to be real. So I went outside with my laptop. I went to the Catskills to try to have like a Whitley Strieber thing, and I put my laptop outside, and I just I smoked a joint and looked at the stars, but the only thing that kept happening is my mother-in-law just kept coming out. She's like, what is that beeping? And I was like, they're not going to come if you keep interrupting me, Val. Come on.
We gotta be quiet.
We gotta be quiet. And my wife's like, I think you're just using these UAPs as a way to get peace and quiet. I'm like, maybe I got a D in astronomy, and that's true. But let me have my peace.
You became a cat.
Broke this in half.
You became a Catskills comic. You're like, take my mother-in-law, please.
There's like
Actually,
a big
take me. Give me a ride.
Take me, get me out of here.
yeah. There's a big hook that takes me out.
So regarding his very amateur psionic experience, one of the other questions I wanted to ask you, unless you had something else besides your mother-in-law bugging your trip, is what I wanted to ask you was the idea, and I know you work closely with Lou, and we talked about his 5 observables, but the idea of your remote sensing and you being in that world. I know you're saying you don't look at the imagery right now, but do you think working with all that technology and having that perspective and over and over again, that's the day job over and over, do you think that lent itself to the spiritual side at all when coming to the remote viewing side of things? So do you think that almost like, hey, we talk about the consciousness angle on this all the time, where it's like, do you think it trained your consciousness to be open to the idea of this phenomenon, and then that lent itself to the spiritual, your whatever psionic event that you had? Do you think that the technical science training kind of helped as a catalyst into the remote viewing experience that you had?
Yeah, no, I actually would maybe not even say the opposite, but I always grew up believing. I have always loved X-Files. Like, I love your poster back there. I had that poster in my college dorm. I want to believe.
Can you see my art too, Sarah? This is my beautiful art. If you ever want to become a patron,
people sign up for $10 Patreon.
So
he draws them an alien. That's what happens. Yeah.
That's adorable. But yeah, I grew up being a massive X-Files fan, and always knowing we aren't alone. And even in undergrad, when I was going through my astrophysics classes, and somebody, one of my friends, I play softball, one of my friends on the ball field, we'd have a night game, and I'm caught, staring up at space, and like I still do. They're like, oh, do you think we're alone out here? And I was like, why would we be an infinite amount of space and be the only ones? Like,
yes.
How high of egos do we have to really think that we're it? And this is endless. And so even then, I knew, and then as the years progressed, and I ended up being able to support the UAP task force for a very small portion of time, from a very small corner as well. So I didn't even get to see a ton of data.
Right.
It was really kind of a cool moment for me because I've known we're not alone. And the first video that I saw, and it was like that gut feeling, like, oh my gosh, I almost cussed. I don't know if I can
No,
cuss
you can
on
say
here.
whatever.
Oh, you
But
can
Go
say
for it.
whatever.
As long as
I've-
you're cool with
Yeah,
everything.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah. I've been cursing up a
Hol
storm.
holy shit, what in the world? And then you kind of pause, and then you rewind, and then you keep watching it a few more times. You're like, this is it. This is what I
Wow.
have been,
Wanting
waiting
to
my
see.
whole life to see. Um, yeah, so I think it was more
Can
of a
I- can-
driver of my upbringing and always known we were alone. And then my spiritual side of things came on, afterwards. It actually, I didn't even, um, being a psychic medium didn't even come until later in life. So that was a more recent thing. So it was kind of, I don't know. It's like a weird domino effect of things that happen in my life that all line up to synchronicity happening.
Yeah. Can I ask a quick thing about the moment you just had with the video that you rewinded? Can you tell us that you don't have to give the details, but can you tell us if it was in a different media form than a FLIR or a heat sensor picture, or was it something that was a different? We'll call it a different media form. Meaning, was it was clear cut? You were seeing what you were seeing is what you were seeing. Was it? I'm not going to say HD, but I'll just say was it. Can you say if it's video?
It was very clear.
It was video.
It was a common form of a video that we have seen, but it was clear. It was definitely clear, and was able to track it for, I'll call it, quite a while. So quite a while in the sense of having UAP videos can mean 7 seconds, because
Right.
sometimes you only get a little blip of it going across the screen. So it was, I want to say it was over 30 seconds, that I didn't control the sensor,
Right.
but that it was tracked. So yeah, it was really good data quality and something that is, more commonly known out here.
What was the first thought or premonition where you're like, oh man, maybe I have a gift?
On the mediumship side of
On the
things,
mediumship side of things, yeah.
that's also kind of been a whole life situation. I
Yeah.
started seeing ghosts when I was little. I was in middle school when I had my first ghost encounter, and things have happened every few years ever since. And I had a near-death experience. My 13th anniversary is coming up in a couple of weeks.
Hey,
So super
congratulations.
exciting. Lucky,
You made
lucky
it. You made
13.
it.
Lucky.
Your cat's not the only one with 9 lives.
I actually celebrate my Alive Day more than I do my birthday
Oh,
every
that's
year
awesome.
now.
'Cause
I
it was-
oddly
'cause-
remember a lot.
Because it meant so much. It was so right. It was so life changing.
And what date is this? So we can awkwardly celebrate you on the podcast?
So we can send you
Yes.
an edible arrangement.
May 10th.
Oh my God.
Oh.
2 days
My
before
day.
my birthday.
9 days before my birthday.
It is 2 days before one of my brother's birthdays as well.
Oh,
I love it that she had a near-death experience. We made it about our birthdays immediately. We were like, let's make it about us.
We're still comics. We're still in show business. But
So yeah, so after my near-death experience, more psychic things started happening, and that progressed to where I didn't know how to control. I was freaking out really freaking badly on
course.
what was happening to me, and I needed help. So I got an appointment with a psychic medium. I briefed the director of NSA that morning,
oh
who
wow.
was a 4-star general, which was super cool. And I left that briefing for my psychic mediumship reading, who became my teacher. And she told me that day, though, I could be in her seat. And I was like, I'm in. But I was in grad school at that time and was working full time while in school. I was like, I need to get through grad school first, and then I'll start. And that's what I did. So
Wow.
that was in I think late 2018, early 2019. I graduated grad school July of 2019, and I started classes with the teacher in August the next month.
So you were seeing apparitions like when this first started happening all the time?
Yeah.
Oh
Could you-
my God.
I would
you
have,
put
like, things visit me at night, didn't know what it was. My ex I was with at the time, before like I found out what was happening to me, I would regularly talk to people in my sleep, kind of like the movie The Sixth Sense, the little kid saying they come to you in your sleep.
Yeah.
That's what was happening to me. I would sit up and I would have a conversation with somebody and freak my ex out. Every once in a while, he would freak out enough to where he'd like case the house out to make sure it was empty and come back to bed. And
Crazy.
I'm just like sound asleep and his adrenaline's all up. And
He's like, why can't you just have an
but yeah,
affair? It's something simple, you know?
And it's what's so
Yeah.
what's so telling about that is that you can tell like my girlfriend talks in her sleep all the time, and even if she sat up and talked in her sleep, like you were talking in your sleep, something about what he saw made him go like, this is different. Something made him go,
Yeah.
this is you're carrying on a conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
And it feels like superseding just normal sleep habit, like sleepwalking or sleep talking.
And what's crazy is I could still see, like, they're vivid. And so in the morning he'd be like, "Hey, do you remember blah blah blah?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, there was that dude in the raincoat. Oh wait, he was standing in the room and I was talking with him." And he was like, yeah, you were."
Yeah, right.
Like what? Wait, why was he in a raincoat? So I would remember like little snippets, and then of course, like as you start talking about it, more stuff comes back, and like some of them were scary, just like on The Sixth Sense that I would be scared from. So I would train myself to yell his name in my sleep for him to wake me up.
Whoa.
Would you be able to?
Now I know that was spirits coming in asking for help and maybe not knowing how to ask for help, or maybe it was bad things coming in. And so I know how to protect myself now. So luckily that doesn't happen. But yeah, it's been an interesting ride trying to figure out who I am in this life.
Yeah.
I imagine.
Would you be able to kind of recount one of the encounters you've had? You say it's a lot, obviously. One of the ones that affected you the most, that was the most, like you say, the most vivid ones that you were like, holy cow, this is for real. I'm in this now. Like even if it's the person or the thing they were going through, like you're saying, spirits coming for help. What was the one that really kind of put you over the fence? If you have one.
Yeah, well, I could talk about like some of the night terrors that I'd have, and now I know it was possibly somebody trying to let me know how they died and their body might have been dumped.
Oh wow.
So, I was being chased down a gravel road and I was carrying um like a really cheap bag, but it didn't have much in it, and I got sick of carrying it, so I threw it. And I like jump into this in my dream. Like that's where it starts. So I
Yeah.
don't know why I'm running, but it's like first perspective. So I know I'm me, but they're not my emotions. And so I am running and running, and all of a sudden, that's Krypton.
It's okay.
All of a sudden, a truck comes out of nowhere and almost hits me, and there's like an old abandoned house, and I run into the house, and just one horror story too many. You don't run
Into
in.
the house.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm running through the house, and it looked like somebody might have lived in it like not too long ago, but it was definitely not lived in recently. So maybe like 5 to 10 years prior, somebody was there. So like stuff was just getting like a little bit mildewy and plants growing, and so yeah, so it's very vivid. Like I could still see the colors of the carpet and stuff. Like it looked like it was something from like the 70s, like a burnt orange color, and that kind of
Wow.
sense of color palette. And the guy caught me in a bedroom, and as he was he put a bag over my head, a plastic bag, and I could hear the duct tape
Oh my
being
God.
stripped open.
Oh my God.
And that's when I yelled for my ex to wake me up.
Wow. And it
Because
was
I realized, I know in the dream it's a dream, but I was having them so often at that point, and they would come in waves. So I would train myself to yell his name to wake me up.
because it was
And
lucid enough you could do that.
yeah,
You were so lucid. Did you able to control? Wow. Okay.
yeah, but I couldn't control it. And so now, with my training and with persistence of protecting myself so these things can't come visit me while I'm sleeping. I am a human and I need beauty rest.
You're telling me,
I
sister.
Ugh, sleeping lately has been rough. How about you all? I don't know what's going on in the world right now,
it's
but
a
I need
mess.
more sleep.
Oh, it
Anyways,
seems fine. Everything seems fine. When you were talking about alliances, I was like, which ones do we have left? Do we have one left? I'm not sure.
Yeah. But yeah, so it was always an interesting I guess realization as I started taking classes and stuff of wow, like people were coming to me for help and like at first I felt bad that I didn't help them, but then I'm like, no, this is my human life and they could potentially go to someone else because there's a lot of mediums out there that are willing to help.
Sure.
So I don't know.
So yeah, Miss Cleo hasn't been around. Get her to start working again. She's got to get back on the horse.
Don't tell me to spit my tea out.
Get her back in there, you know?
Come on, get her to work.
Probably Trump will be pissed because it was DIY. He's like, is she really qualified?
DEI.
Oh, DIY. Sorry, DIY is a do-it-yourself. That's a HGTV show.
It's HGT. We're about a DEI DIY show.
Trump would totally, if Miss Cleo was around, Trump would totally call it Miss Cleo.
Oh, absolutely. He'd be like, we're not even sure she's from here. I know he's got an accent. I watched that documentary. It's.
Which one, the Cleo one? I haven't seen it yet. I want to see it.
Anyway, but
can I jump on the lucid dream thing you were talking about just for a second?
Yes.
Lucid dreaming is it's such an amazing concept to me because I can't control anything.
I'm in the same boat
in my dreams. So is there did you have to master it, or was it like something you just like were preternaturally were you disposed to it already, inclined to it already?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just know that over time, after the whole night terrors and when I stopped having them, thankfully, I started having more awareness in my dreams from that. And so like now when I have a vivid dream, and I realize what's happening might be a message for me from spirit. So a lot of times, when we astral travel. So every night we sleep, we astral travel. We just don't always remember. Sometimes never. We never remember anything of it. But
for some reason, Dan does it. He always ends up in an Arby's.
Yes.
I don't know what's going on.
That was it.
Sorry,
we were joking about it. I'm in recovery. I'm sober now, but I was an alcoholic from 2002 to 2010. So I could have been getting abducted the whole time, and I have no idea whatsoever.
Not known. No,
but I feel like sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no! Over time, I just am more aware in my dreams, and what helps is writing them down. So I always thought dream journals were a bunch of fluff and silly. And then when I would wake up sometimes, I would actually type everything out in an email. Well, sometimes it's too long. So I'll write it out or I'll send myself an audio message or something or save an audio message. And the more I did that, the more I would remember. And then it became a part of, I wasn't a passive player in some of the dreams. I was an active player, or I would be kind of active but passive at the same time and let it play out to see what message I was supposed to get or what I was supposed to experience. Because sometimes I go back to past lives and dreams, and it's really neat to see other worlds or other lives and stuff like that, who was with me. So I like to watch it all play out.
Yeah, man, I would love to do that.
Well, it's also a thing because it's so funny. You've always been into this world, and even when it comes to lucid dreaming and the dream journals and all this, based off your background and your other job, the job you spoke about earlier on in the episode, do you think this is science? This is science based. Even if it's consciousness science based, it's science based. Would you agree or you think?
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, we're proving more and more that plants of consciousness, that pets communicate, right? So each person that has a pet, the different tones of what they're saying and what they want. And but there's even evidence and studies out now of sending energy to somebody. So they're proving quantum physics before we could really dive into quantum physics, that sending energy to someone like a prayer or love or something is actually felt across the world. So yeah, it's all married and it's all one thing. And it's so cool to have my science background and then go through these spiritual classes. And my teacher, her name's Celeste, she would tell us in a
Convenient.
class once, like, oh, well, I got in this meditation the other day, I got this information that there's infinite amount of parallel universes. How silly is that? Well, she didn't say how silly is that. That I don't know why I just said that,
But
but
yeah,
um she and I raised my hand and I was like, that's what's taught in astronomy.
yeah,
Like that actually I paid for that degree to be taught that there's infinite amount of parallel universes. And we even talked in one of my astronomy classes in college was when 9/11 happened, it actually knocked the world into another parallel universe. Because it was an impact that was felt worldwide, that it actually bumped us into another universe.
wow.
And she was like, wait, what? And so there was a lot of moments like that during my spiritual classes or training or my meditations or you name it, something spiritual, when I would be like, wait a minute, so that's actually physics because everything is energy and Newton's laws. And so it's really cool to put all these puzzle pieces together and see like this is real. This is all married together.
Is and that's
Definitely.
one of the things that I was when I was watching your Ross interview, I was like, I felt very hopeful because I was like, wow, is the CIA recruiting people like her? I have a novice knowledge of the history of the CIA, and there aren't a lot of people like Sarah Gamm before Sarah. I mean, there's maybe are some. It feels like this is an evolution in itself for you even working with them and being able to talk about some of these ideas, versus, back in the day when it was just like, hey, black and white,
Very cloak and
Ovaltine,
dagger.
let's do
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
Have you noticed an evolution within it?
Within I tend to refer to it as the woo woo of stuff. So like the spiritual community, to like make it a little bit more joke friendly, is the woo woo things. And the whole realm of the woo has come exponentially far in the past 10 years, just like saying UAP and UFO and having daily conversations about are we alone or not. That's come so far, especially since 2017 when the New York Times article came out. It's been the same for the spiritual community. So more people are waking up. 100% of humans can do what I do, can be a medium. We all are born with the abilities. It's just the world telling us it's an imaginary friend and it's not real and it's the devil. And like you name it, insert thing to get you to not believe it anymore. And so the world crashes down on us and tells us no. And so that's what, of course, we believe because it's easier to believe the bad stuff and the negative stuff. And so we don't want to get in trouble. We want to follow order and protocol because we're human and we have to be told what to do and what to eat and where to go. And so now that's not really the case.
Yeah.
And a lot of my clients over the years that have kids, their kids have abilities and they want to harness them now. And they want to let their child know that they have a safe space to share with them, but they don't know the right questions to ask. So they'll come to me and be like, I don't know what to do. And it is such a heartwarming situation to witness. And Dolores Cannon, if nobody knows who she has unfortunately passed away, but she is an amazing speaker, spiritual leader. She has lots of books out there, but she does talk about like the age of Aquarius. Like that is happening. It's a global awakening right now. And I've actually been able to witness some of it, which has been neat.
That's awesome. Yeah, earlier you were talking about like the energy based as far as the communication goes, and and I've mentioned on the podcast a few times, but I'm sure you are aware of the series Surviving Death that was on Netflix, and I was
Leslie
blown away.
Keane.
What'd you say?
Leslie Keane.
Yeah, Leslie King. Yeah, exactly.
Based from her book.
Yes, yes.
We want to get her on.
And we want to get her. Yeah, that'd be great. But
She is amazing.
Yeah.
Highly recommend.
yeah, I've read I watched that show and I read.
I've emailed a couple times. Next time I'm going to do the Say Anything John Cusack stereo in front of her house, but play the X-Files theme and see if that works.
But one of the things
Wait, So I could have said no, and y'all would have been here doing that for me.
Yeah,
No, I know
absolutely.
you got to play hard to get, Sarah.
But one of the things that they talk about in one of the episodes, like the reincarnation episode, blew me away. But one of the ones that really spoke to me was the loved ones communicating with the other ones, like at the time of their death. So there was like anecdotal evidence in it, a recounted story about a farmer from the '60s who gets up in the middle of the night and he's freaking out because he says his brother's calling for him, and the wife's like, "You're dreaming, you have a nightmare, go to bed." He gets up again and he's adamant about it, and he's looking out the window. He's like, "My brother's here, I can hear him." And she's like, "Will you stop?" And this is a serious guy from like probably, who knows, Oklahoma or the South, whatever it is. And not a, like you said, not a woo woo guy. And they wake up the next day. Turns out at that moment that was happening, his brother was getting murdered, like whatever it was, right? I right away after I watched all that and everything that I've just ensconced myself in with this topic, I think that figures into the. That's okay, don't worry. That figures into the, like you were saying, where the on an atomic level, atoms communicating with each other. I think that's that on a grand scale. So whatever activates those atoms to communicate with each other, when a traumatic thing happens to somebody who shares the same DNA or the same atoms as you, that energy comes out a thousandfold, and then that's why you're getting these spiritual moments like this. And I don't know if you kind of think the same thing, but I think that's where these things go hand in hand. A subatomic level versus like, hey, we're all connected, and then it's science based. Once again, that's what I'm trying to say.
No, it is really true. So his claws are sharp.
Oh, jeez.
Can we see Krypton? Can we see Krypton?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's see Krypton. Oh, that's a good-looking cat.
That's a great-looking cat.
It's got some red in its coat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look cute.
Very spoiled. So yeah, absolutely. I actually, most of my life, I have had some weird connection to my dad. My dad's a farmer. I am a fourth generation farmer, and he's very accident prone, right? Well, so am I. But there was an accident he had when I was in college, and I just knew something was badly wrong.
Oh,
I worked in a research lab, and I was driving some of the guys nuts, and because they were like, "What's wrong?" Of course, this is before we had cell phones, but they were like the old Nokia ones with the monotone, and you had to like hit a button 5 times to get the letter right.
Yeah, you're playing Snake.
And if you wanted a text, and so I finally called my mom's office because nobody was like answering their cell phones, and they said that dad was in a bad accident. But I knew, and I've had the similar things happen since. And so this is of course way before my spiritual awakening that had happened, and then also before my awakening, but it was after my near death experience. I do MMA, mixed martial arts, and I was in an MMA class once. I'm laughing because of what happened, and it sucks.
You're like, I killed this guy.
Yeah, well,
and I knew I would before I did.
I got kicked in the face really hard.
Oh, jeez.
But we were doing roundhouse ladders, and we were going up to 7 and back down. And I was holding for a guy, and so I'm holding the pads, and I'm explaining this to how quick it happened. So we were hitting like 1 2 1 2 3, pause, and then go up to 4, and like back, go up and then back down. So you're still hitting like constant, like maybe not even a full second between the kicks. And it was in between when we counted up and we were back down to 2, and then there was 1 left. So in between the set of 2 and the 1, which of course you finish strong, right? So that's going to be a really hard kick. I left my body. And I went to what I call heaven. It's the same place I went for my near-death experience, and my grandma was there, and she was sick at the time. She had been having some health issues. My grandma Gamm passed, and I felt all my other relatives around her greeting her. and it was like they knew I was supposed to be there or something. It was just the weirdest experience.
Wow.
Wow.
And it felt like I was there for 10, 15 minutes, maybe even 20 or something, hanging out with them. And like I talked with grandma about, like, she was like, I'm okay now. And, like we had a conversation. And then when I came back to my body, my arms were down and I got kicked in the face. And so luckily I joke, like, you don't hit I have a lot of sinus surgeries because I can't breathe properly. So like, why would you incarnate and not be able to breathe? Silly. So luckily it avoided the nose. And when I came back to, of course my brain got rocked from the kick.
Yeah.
And everybody heard it too. You heard the impact in the whole room. And my coach, who I'd known for many years at that point, everybody was like, "What, did you miscount? Like, what just happened?" And all I did was look at him and go, "My grandma's dead. I gotta go."
Whoa.
And I didn't know how to explain, like, how do you
Oh
tell
wow.
somebody what just happened while you're in the middle of being kicked. And so I got my things, went to my car and looked at my phone, and I'd missed a call from my dad. So I call him back, and before he could even say anything, I said, "Grandma just passed away 15 minutes ago, didn't she?" He goes, "Yeah." I was like,
Wow. That
Wow.
is
"Yep."
freaking nuts. This
And
is.
that was before all of my spiritual journey as well.
Well, I
So
think you were on it.
it
You just didn't know it. It seems
yeah,
like.
it took me a few years to like click all of this together while I'm in these classes, and I'm like, wait a minute,
Well, that's
I
actually
actually
the.
was at grandma with her greeting in heaven.
By the way, I'm sorry about Grandma Gamm, and that sounds like
Oh,
the most
thank you.
lovable children's character ever, Grandma
Absolutely.
Gamm.
Just a series of books.
So this is my question. When you're all talking about this, do you find that working, because when I describe it, I'm like, working for the military, psychic medium, seems like those things together are a bit of an oxymoron. How do you reconcile that?
Well, that's what she's saying. Like, based on what you said before, it's opening up so much. It's not as much of that oxymoron.
Yeah,
like it's
well,
just-
that's what I'm. But okay, like to Sean's point, are there ethical concerns that you have as a spiritual advisor that you can't really bring into that world, vice versa, national security world, concerns that you don't want to
Sure,
bring
like-
into the psych? How do you reconcile that?
one's buttoned up, one isn't.
Yeah.
How do you transition?
Super duper good question. That
I'm
is
trying to make
so
up for my
one,
idiotic question up top. So
no, no, as a medium, I really hold ethics high. So I don't just go into a room and be like, "Hey, your grandma, your Gam says hi, and she really appreciates the flowers you left her at her grave." Like, I'm not going to do that. I feel like that's an invasion of privacy. And so that's also really draining. So it takes a lot of energy to operate in that space at all times. And I don't think it's healthy for at least me to do that. I operate from my heart space, which takes up a little bit more energy than maybe a medium who doesn't operate that way. But I really hold ethics high because I wouldn't want somebody doing that to me. And then from a work perspective, I kind of always think of it as two different hats that I wear. And sometimes those hats end up colliding a little bit, that I can't help it. But I usually have off the clock for spirit stuff and on the clock for my day job. So they're completely two separate things. Like when I was working at the Pentagon, I was having spiritual things happen to me at my desk. Like your headset that you have like hooked up to your phone to take calls would just fall off the wall every once in a while. I'm like, okay, guys, I'm not on the clock right now. I'm not dealing with this. And it would even happen when all my coworkers were around and I hadn't touched the headset in like weeks. And the headset would just fall off and everybody would look and I wouldn't even flinch and I'd be like, "Yeah, my bad. Sorry, guys."
Yeah.
oh my
Um,
God, wow.
and come to find out, I actually was sitting not too far away from the corridor that was hit from 9/11. So hence
Oh,
all the high
jeez.
activity that was happening around me.
Yeah.
And so I ended up finding out, like I did end up talking with a few spirits there, that they mostly just wanted to let me know that they're still there, and they're actually, some of them are quite happy staying there and helping with what they consider a mission from the other side. And but there's a lot of activity that still occurs around in there, especially in some of the stairwells that you could feel. So yeah, so it's like I mostly have two separate hats on while at my day job, and then when I mention being a psychic medium to coworkers, no one cares. It's really great. Like every once in a while, I'll get a question about it, but for the most part, everybody just goes, "Oh, okay, that's cool. So back to the meeting."
Yeah, yeah. And you wonder if that's because it's like you're in a world, like even that's a world where they're like, hey, anything's possible. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
but I wonder though, just based on what you're talking about, based on what Sarah's talking about, if that's the Great Awakening that we're kind of hinting at that's going on right now is, in Western civilization for the last couple hundred years, it's like, okay, science in one box, religion in one box. And there's been good reasons for that. We have separation for church and state for a reason.
sure.
But to get to the
Organized religion.
next level of human consciousness or knowledge, we may have to merge those, and that's kind of scary because, like, you want to evolve, but you don't want to get like, Bill Clinton had this thing about politics. It's like you want to be ahead, but not too far ahead, and in some ways, it's like how can we dip our toe into this without having to, sever off our whole foot because it gets infected. I guess that's what I'm trying to add.
But I will say real quick is that I think you're exactly right, and but I also think that, like, yeah, now because of 9/11, the spot that you're in, it became a spiritual site. But besides that, if you're to believe any rumors that you hear about the Pentagon or the CIA over the past 60 years, you that's why I believe people are like, yeah, that's fine, you're psychic medium, because I think they've already had their toe in. Even the official line, I'm not speaking for you by any means, but even if the official line is it's all BS, let's be honest. If you believe any of the rumors, say you just go believe everything, then you can make the assessment that they've had their toe in it for years and years.
And it's also that, like, if you're CIA and we did a good job, you're not going to know about it.
You're not going to exactly right.
Right.
That's exactly. So
Until it's declassified decades later.
Decades, until Ben Affleck wants to make Argo, then you can do it. Which actually that was mostly Canadian, I think, but still.
Yeah. Great movie. But so I think that. Like it's almost like they're more, even though you might have a certain type of personality that goes into that line of work. Once you're in there for a couple of meetings, you might go, "Holy shit, that's true!" Like you never know if you get behind the closed door.
Sure. Well, I guess then a more focused question would be, as someone who is in both worlds, and Sean and I are in neither. It would be. What are
We're not
the
even
things?
allowed. We're not even allowed at the Culinary Institute of America.
You know what? It's so funny. My ex went there and she never talked to me again. She's doing great. She's in the other CIA. She's doing great. But yeah, I guess what I was trying to say is without bringing any confidentiality, what are some things when you've gotten into the spirit world that if you were bringing in that private sector, you'd be like, hey, let's not fucking go into that door yet. What are a couple things where you're like, ooh, that stove was a little hotter than I thought. Maybe I shouldn't touch there.
Spiritual wise, you're saying spiritually wise.
Spiritual wise, but I think it also is connected to that. In a weird way.
Of course.
Yeah, no, there are definitely times of that, and then I also I'm trying to think of like an actual specific one, and my cat is meowing here at me, and I feel bad for the
It's
meows.
okay. We can't hear the meows.
So I'm trying to think of an example though. There's just been so many over the years that I have listened to my gut, and I know that will lead me the right way. So yeah, there's the examples I keep thinking of. So when I was traveling a lot to the Middle East, and we were doing infill and exfil into Mosul Dam, and Obama was president at the time and saying, we have no boots on the ground in Iraq. And we're like, we got the boots on the ground. But there were some times, like there was one trip that I didn't join, and I was really bummed about it. And so I had to watch the infill and exfil from in Kuwait at Camp Arif John. But this trip that I was supposed to be on, I was so upset about and devastated because it was supposed to be my birthday. And I had plans to go fishing in the reservoir. And I was like, I had a Disney princess fishing pole with me in case it was confiscated whenever I got to Baghdad or Erbil or wherever I was flying into, and had a whole plan. And we had a SEAL team pulling security for us. So I even had a SEAL team that he was going to do security. I had protective equipment, and because ISIS was very active at the time. And so this incident that I ended up not being able to go was 3 days prior to leaving to departure. I was so devastated, but there was something in me that was like, girl, this is for a reason. And they actually ended up taking an indirect fire from ISIS. And there were some
Wow.
other pretty complicated things that I'm not going to get into that I don't
Well, I would say the biggest
don't want to
party.
throw people under a bus, but
Right.
some stuff did not go to plan, and it actually ended up being a massive blessing. But I was of course upset at first, but then there was quickly something in me was like, this is you don't need to be an extra body on this trip right now, because like I also wasn't trained for any of that. So
Wow.
like I knew how to put protective equipment on, PPE, but I didn't I wasn't really trained. We do active shooter drills on the computer for work, for training,
Yeah.
not in real life.
You're
So
right.
Mark
it
Wahlberg
ended
in
up,
Lone Survivor or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a different. Yeah,
So
that's totally different.
so that was kind of a major scenario that came to mind, of that gut feeling saying, no, you're good, girl. You're right where you should be.
I mean,
Wow.
as far as party fouls, right under not using a coaster, I would say ISIS showing up. So that would really throw a party.
That'll mess a birthday up.
That'll really mess a day up. It is no longer your
Yeah.
birthday.
Let me ask
It
you
was
this.
also super fun to watch the infill and exfil from like a FLIR camera. They did it at night, of course, and watching like one of the guys like light a cigarette up, like, oh, there's so and so. He needs a
Yeah.
smoke after the helicopter ride.
Yeah. It's like the world's most advanced Ring doorbell. You're just watching somebody stoop. Real quick, I just wanted to ask you. We're wrapping up here in a couple minutes, and we cannot thank you enough for doing
Yeah,
this.
you're
It's
terrific.
So much
Thank you
fun.
We'd love to have you back.
Yeah, please. But I wanted to ask you, because I feel
a
like
maybe.
you're on. It's so interesting. Like the besides the government, the Pentagon, CIA type situation with the remote sensing, to a spiritual advisor. Now you have the clients. Do you have a goal? And then all the MMA stuff, which is remarkable. Do you have a goal in mind as far as the spiritual world goes? Like, do you want to get someplace with your abilities that you would love to? Almost like you were speaking before about the things that you're seeing with the lucid dreams. You're like, oh, these are spirits that need help. It's not my place to do it. There's enough mediums. Would you like to get to that point where it becomes like a real world investigation, because you have the military background anyway? Would that interest you? You think is there a goal in mind in your spiritual journey?
Yeah, I appreciate this question. I've never been asked this. I don't know right now. I've actually been taking a break for a while now, probably close to a year, from doing paying client readings, because I'll do it for friends once in a while. Um, I don't know where this journey is going, but I feel a pull of spirit bringing me back to it right now. And I've been meditating more and coming back to it. I have also been going, grieving for my kitty cat passing, and
Yes.
going through some, as life brings, everything hits out on a waterfall at one time. So I feel like this waterfall is happening at the moment for me to come out of the other side and be ready to face what's coming. I love doing readings. It brings me so much, I'll call it peace, knowing I've helped someone, and I don't need tools, I don't need gadgets, I don't need anything to do it but my heart and my mind. And to watch healing transform. So I joined a hypnotist. We did hypnoregression last year at a ghost conference, and we did this together because I can't hypnotize people. I'm not certified, and so he'll hypnotize and I'll lead a group to a past life. And to watch the healing of these individuals right in front of you is just breathtaking. But also, what the greatest part about having a session with somebody and like a client, a medium also receives healing. So we also get something
Mm.
out of it because people come to us for a reason. So I was with a narcissist for a very long time, and I actually have a lot of female clients that come to me with similar situations that they've been through. And so there's almost an immediate empathetic relationship that is developed between us. But I also receive healing from the session and from the client while I'm helping them. Um, so where is this going? I really don't know. I'm excited to be in the front seat. I do feel a pull. People are asking me a lot now for readings, and I do have boundaries. I don't feel bad anymore for telling them no because I'm still, I'm going through my own shit, and I got to get through it in order to provide proper healing for somebody else.
It feels like you're on the
Yeah,
superhero
I
trajectory,
don't,
honestly. Like I was thinking when Sean was describing everything, I'm like, she's on the trajectory to become a superhero. CIA, psychic, MMA. It's like it's on the
love
way.
it.
It's a Wonder Woman situation.
I have a question that I've been asking everybody, and you will be no different. In your opinion, not through anything that you've seen, what do you think the NHI are?
They're everything. They're us. We are them.
It's a good answer.
Sorry, cat hair.
No, it's okay.
I mean, we come from stars. We are made of stars. In Astronomy 101, one of the first things they tell us is we are made of stars. A star had to explode billions of years ago for us to exist, for our cell phones. Like stars are star particles are in everything, and we are nature. So we're all one.
So they're all
I like
made.
that.
It kinda
I'm gonna stick
answers
with
it.
that answer. I like it.
I
Yes.
like that answer a lot.
Yeah, so do I.
You know what? I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna see. These are the questions I didn't ask because I didn't think she would be able to answer them. So I'm gonna see if I was right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let me see. Like, just say like I can't. Just tell me if I was right that you can't answer it. Okay. Let me see. Okay. In your opinion, why are the NHI drawn to nukes?
Oh, sometimes this is my personal
Okay.
opinion that they're just checking to see if like are gonna explode our planet or not. Like,
That's kind of what we
they're,
think.
That's what
they
we
too.
thought,
doing
yeah.
this? No, we're good today. Okay, peace. We're
It's
back
like
out.
checking in. All right, we'll take off. We're out of here. Yeah, yeah. It's happened multiple times. Well, we can't. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
We cannot thank you enough for doing this.
Thank
You're
you
awesome.
so much.
Please let us know where people can check you out, like what's going on. If social media, anything you'd like to plug for the show. This will come out in a couple weeks.
Social media, Instagram is Sarah Grace Warrior, all one word. And Facebook is Sarah Grace Psychic Medium. There's a few dupe accounts out there, so I don't know. I'm thinking about shutting it down. Facebook is kind of awful for a business account, is what I'm learning.
Okay.
And then email sarahgracewarrior@gmail.com, and the website that unfortunately you can't book or anything through right now. I've shut the booking part down, but there's a little bit more information about me on my website, sarahgracewarrior.com.
And you had sent me this. This are you going to be part of this hearing on Thursday, May 1st? This
No.
Okay, so you're not going to be part of
I
that.
am not. I am seeing some friends that are in town for
Okay, I thought you were
the
going to be part of
event. But I was informed that I could go to attend, not to brief or anything if I wanted, and I politely declined. So I'm going to be at work that day.
Could you give Sean your access? He can wear a wig. He'll wear glasses.
Yeah, that'll work.
All right,
What
we'll
I was told in a group chat that you could reach out to your congressman and request a seat.
That'd be. Oh, ooh, that's a good idea.
Oh, that is good. One other question because it deals with something you were because I wanted to consolidate. Do you think it's no coincidence that the phenomenon is correlating with technological advancements?
Yeah, I think I have heard of stories of them providing some technology to us, like the base foundation of an idea, and that kind of given us a little sprinkle on how to begin, and we kind of run with it. So I do believe the person that told me that information. I think that some like to see us advance to see how we end up developing the technology. And I'm gonna make this up. Like, let's say it's the cell phones. That's what I'm
Right.
looking at.
Right.
So they're like, all right, here's the cell phone idea. what are you going to do with it? And so, over time, of course, we're humans. We're going to end up using stuff for nefarious reasons because that's just who we are right now, unfortunately. So I think it's a similar situation to other technology that I was told that they gave us the base idea for.
Sarah, I'm going to talk to the NHI. Sometimes I do this. Guys, we're not going to figure it out. We're not evolved enough. You're just going to have to reveal yourselves and tell us what's going on. It's not working out.
Sarah.
I don't know if you've read the news. It's not working out.
We're dumb humans.
We're not going to get to that plane by ourselves. We need you to beam us up, okay? That's what I'm trying to say. But anyway, thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you so much. Guys, you can check us out. You know where to go. It's YouTube / Burbs Bros.
Yeah.
YouTube.com/Burbs Bros. At Burbs Bros on Instagram, burbsbrospod@gmail.com. Thank you to Pat. Thank you so much again, Sarah.
Yeah,
Hopefully we talk
job.
to you soon. Guys, check out all of our socials. Goodbye, and thank you for listening. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Guys.